On this Friday night, charges in the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. The driver of that semi is in custody tonight, facing 29 criminal charges. What we know about him and the investigation that led to his arrest, and reaction from a young man who survived that crash.
We're also following the developing situation in Thailand, where time and oxygen may be running out for those teens stuck in a cave. We'll show you what challenges rescuers are facing now.
And a woman breaks her silence. The former reporter who alleges Justin Trudeau touched her inappropriately nearly 2 decades ago. This is The National. It is 3 months to the day since a semi-trailer truck collided with the Humboldt Broncos team bus on a Saskatchewan highway, killing 16 people, forever changing so many lives. And after all those weeks, the search for answers and for justice took a dramatic turn today. RCMP announced 29 criminal charges against the driver of the truck.
16 counts of dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing death, and 13 counts of dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing bodily harm are serious criminal code charges.
The more serious charges carry a maximum sentence of 14 years. Those related to injuries, a maximum of 10. The accused, a 29-year-old Jaskirat Singh Sidhu of Calgary. The charges come after extensive work by a core team of investigators, 20 of them, supported by 100 others at various points. They conducted more than 60 interviews. They took upwards of 6,000 photos, and they staged a reenactment of the collision. This morning, before the announcement, police broke the news to the families of victims and to survivors. Olivia Stefanovic begins our coverage with their reaction.
Can't really change what's happened in the past, so yeah, whatever happened for a reason.
Ryan Strashnitsky lost almost half of his teammates in the Humboldt Broncos crash. He was paralyzed from the chest down. Still, he doesn't blame the semi-driver who was charged today.
His intention wasn't to go out and hurt us that day, but, mistake obviously is going to change his life and change all of our lives.
His mother, though, is looking for more answers, even ways to make Canada's highways safer.
I'm glad that things are happening. I don't know what the end result's going to be, but it's a start, in my opinion.
A step closer to finding out what may have caused the collision that led to the deaths of 16 people and injuries for 13 others. The driver, Jaskirat Singh Sidhu, was arrested by the RCMP at his home this morning and charged with 29 criminal offences, one for each person who was on the Humboldt Broncos bus.
I know it's been difficult for many to await the outcome of this police investigation. The time it took to do this work, this important work, was necessary.
Sidhu was previously detained by the RCMP and let go. He came to Canada from India on a student visa a few years ago. According to his LinkedIn profile, he studied business administration in Calgary, recently married, and began working for Adeshtiol Trucking 1 month before the fatal collision. Logan Boulay was one of the players who died. His mother is thankful the case is proceeding.
Our family is relieved and that this part of this journey is now done, and that the 29 charges have been, the 29 individual charges have been laid against this driver, and they are criminal charges.
The RCMP isn't releasing more details at this time about what may have caused the crash and what exactly led investigators to charge Sidhu. He remains in custody and is expected to appear in a Saskatchewan court next week.
Olivia joins us now from Regina. And Olivia, you actually spoke with the driver a few weeks ago before he was charged. What did he tell you at that time?
That's right, Rosie. Well, I spoke to Jaskirat Singh Sidhu, who goes by Jassy, earlier this month by phone. The conversation was brief. He didn't want to talk about what happened, but he did tell me that he's receiving support from his family and attending counseling. The conversation quickly ended after that, and I connected with one of his family members afterwards. I spoke to his wife about 2 weeks ago. She was upset at the time, and this has all been very hard for the Sidhu family. She referred me to a lawyer, and we connected with that lawyer again today, Rosie, and he isn't providing a comment at this time.
Okay, Olivia, thank you for your good reporting on this story. Appreciate it. We're going to get some more legal insight into this case in a moment, but first, it probably helps to lay out what we do know about the crash. The bus, as you may remember, was en route from Humboldt to Nipawin, traveling north on Highway 35 north of Tisdale. The speed limit there, 100 kilometers an hour. The bus then approached Highway 335, the intersection, which the truck was approaching from the east. The truck did have a stop sign. The bus did not. Visibility may have been an issue. We know a stand of trees partially obscured sightlines from the east and the south. The force of the collision sent both vehicles into the ditch at the northwest corner. Those are the facts. Now let's get some analysis. Tony Paisana is a defense lawyer, and he joins me now from Vancouver. Okay, let's go over some of the charges. 16 counts of something called dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing death, and 13 counts of dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing bodily injury. Give us a sense of what the threshold is for those kinds of charges.
So dangerous driving causing death involves what we call a marked departure from the regular standard of driving. So as opposed to what you might see in a civil lawsuit or even a regulatory driving offense, what you have to get to in order to get to this criminal charge is quite a marked departure from what a normal person would be doing in those circumstances. And when you're considering a charge like this, you consider all of the circumstances, be it the driving conditions, speed, everything.
Would lack of experience as a driver be part of that?
It would be sort of some of the background analysis for sure, but just simply being an inexperienced driver is not going to get you to the threshold of this sort of criminal charge. There has to be something, if you want to prove this charge, that goes beyond just that sort of characteristic. You know, be it inattention, not following the rules, speed. It can really be a number of things. It just kind of depends on the circumstances.
So once they've established that there's a marked departure, as you say, from what would be sort of normal driving in these circumstances, how long then does it take for them to get to the point where they lay these charges? Because it seemed to me like it was a long investigation. What would you say?
You know, interestingly enough, in cases like this is actually quite typical. In my experience, it's between 3 and 9 months that where you see post-accident charges laid. And that's for a number of reasons. It can be because of accident reconstruction. It can be because you want to consult with experts. It can be that you're examining the evidence in detail. And in a crash of this magnitude, it's not surprising that it would take 3 months.
And you mentioned magnitude. I don't have much time, but how does the magnitude of the loss, the number of people killed, play into the charges and potentially whatever happens next?
You know, it's an incredible tragedy, and I don't think anyone is going to dispute that. I think it plays a role, obviously, if we get to the stage of sentencing, in terms of whether or not charges should be laid or whether or not a person should be convicted. You know, we coexist in a system where the result doesn't dictate what actually happened. They'll still have to prove the case. They'll have to prove that there was a marked departure. But certainly, in the event that there is a conviction, the number of deaths, the number of injuries, the tragedy will necessarily have to play a role in the case.
Tony Paisana, thank you.
Thank you.
A look at a few of the other stories we are working on tonight. The woman who almost 2 decades ago accused the Prime Minister of touching her inappropriately is breaking her silence. What she said today about the allegation.
And as Donald Trump's trade war escalates, we'll talk to the Canadians bracing for his next move.
First, though, the bad news just does not stop for rescue teams in Thailand and the soccer team trapped underground. They're desperately racing to save.
There's a chance you will pull the boys out today.
No.
Not today.
Not today.
It was a blunt response from the commander of the rescue effort. He says the boys are just not ready right now. Rescuers, they're still working towards a few different plans, but whatever they decide, it'll likely be a long, slow process, and one they say they'll need to test first before moving anybody. Another option, checking for a back door of sorts to the cave. Engineers are looking for any possible way in, but the limestone is fragile, prone to sudden collapse, and that slows everything down. And on top of all that, more rain is coming, and breathable air could be running out. Our Briar Stewart takes a closer look at just how tough a rescue mission like this will be.
It's a grueling underground journey through tight tunnels and flooded caverns, dangerous for even the most experienced divers. So dangerous, a former Thai Navy SEAL died yesterday trying. So imagine leading the 12 boys and their soccer coach through this.
Everybody is focusing, getting them out, keeping them alive or getting them out.
The big concern now is that they could be running out of oxygen. I'm scared of the air, says the Thai mission commander, who confirmed that divers brought in more oxygen today. And increasingly it looks as if the boys who don't swim, let alone dive, will be let out through the flooded passages.
So this is something that a lot of cave divers would actually utilize, especially if they are trying to go through restricted passages.
Dive master Greg McCracken says the environment, not the team's lack of experience, will be the biggest issue. They'll be wearing full face masks and the rescuers will be leading them out.
They just have to continue to breathe, stay calm, and really let the rescuers take over everything. And if they can do that, then they're changing. I think they're at least giving themselves the best chance of success.
Those images of the team huddled together on the ledge, waiting to be rescued, triggers memories for Andrew Munoz.
The sound of the water and the dim lighting and the shaky footage, it transports you right back to December 5th, 2015.
Just relax, man. We're going to do this together, okay? Yeah, no worries. I know you are.
That's when he and friend Jason Story became trapped in a flooded cave on Vancouver Island for 18 hours. He says the most crucial thing is not to panic.
If you lose your head and you make a misstep, you drop a piece of equipment, those things can compound the situation with drastic consequences.
And for the boys who've been down there for 2 weeks, staying calm may only get harder and harder. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
And on that point, we also managed to track down Jason's story today, trapped in that cave with Andrew Munoz. Have a listen to his thoughts on that terrifying experience and his hopes for the boys in Thailand. For the record.
Your mind is bombarded constantly by emotions of various sorts. You're trying to remain optimistic. Andrew and I are both very optimistic people, so I think that helped us. Plus, we had each other, and that's important. Down with the boys in Thailand, there's 13 of them down there, and they have each other. I hope there were a couple of jokers in the group, some people to crack a few jokes and keep things light for them. When your mind is going to the darkest places, it helps to keep things light in that way. But it's hard. Your mind does get those dark thoughts as well. I sort of came to peace with the fact that I could die down there, but then I would straight away try to get optimistic again, try to push those thoughts aside, think, hey, the rescuers are going to reach us, hey, we are going to get out of here, the water is going to recede.
And one last note on all of this. For all the talk of challenges, there is one high-profile billionaire whose involvement may change the equation. Elon Musk is sending specialists from SpaceX and his infrastructure and tunneling firm, The Boring Company, to help out. Musk has even floated the idea of trying to insert a tube into the cave network to create a sort of underwater air tunnel. The Thai government is expecting them to arrive this weekend. And Rosie, Thailand being a half a day ahead of us, it's already Saturday there, so we're watching the situation closely.
Okay, such an incredible story. All right, Andrew, let's move on to another development in an ongoing story about Justin Trudeau this time. An allegation from before he entered politics. It first surfaced in an unsigned editorial in a local paper. That was nearly 2 decades ago. The woman who alleges the Prime Minister touched her inappropriately at a music festival nearly 2 decades ago has broken her silence. She released a brief statement today about the incident in 2000 at the Kokanee Summit in Creston, BC. Catherine Cullen has been following this story all week and then some. Okay, first off, Catherine, the statement was pretty short.
But what makes it significant, Rosemary, is first of all that the woman decided to make her name public. Her name is Rose Knight, and she said that she does confirm what was reported in that editorial. She stands by the information that's in there. I want to read you a little bit of the statement in which she says, the incident referred to in the editorial did occur as reported. Mr. Trudeau did apologize the next day. I did not pursue the incident at the time and will not be pursuing the incident further. I have had no subsequent contact with Mr. Trudeau before or after he became Prime Minister. Now, Knight did say in the statement that she was reluctant to issue it, that she chose to do so because of media pressure for her to confirm the account. We do have a bit of additional detail about what happened, but not from Rose Knight, rather from the woman who was the publisher of the newspaper at the time. She spoke to Knight after the incident with Trudeau, and she says that Knight said to her that the contact was a very brief touch and that Trudeau had touched her rear end. Now, we reached out to both the reporter and the Prime Minister's office to see if they would corroborate that detail. Neither responded.
Okay, and Rose Knight, the woman in question, says she's not going to speak any further about the incident. What was the Prime Minister's reaction to this statement today?
Well, he has been being asked about this a lot today. Did numerous interviews, and it seemed to come up in every one news conference as well. He is essentially standing by what he said yesterday, that he does not believe that he acted inappropriately, but that he appreciates that the woman's view of what happened might be different. He was asked specifically for his reaction to the statement. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I would never presume to speak for her or to have a perspective on how she should feel or should act on this. I respect very much her right and her ability to make choices about what is best for her and her family, and I obviously will continue to stand as a defender of understanding and respect for individuals and the experiences they go through.
He was also asked today what precisely it was that he apologized for 18 years ago. He told CBC Radio's Metro Morning that if he apologized, it was because he believed he had made the woman uncomfortable and he did not want her to feel uncomfortable.
Okay. Catherine Cullen tracking this story again for us tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A number of other developing stories we are keeping an eye on tonight, including the latest on the toll of this week's heat wave in Quebec and Ontario. Quebec's health ministry revealed today that the number of deaths blamed on the heat has jumped to 54. More than half were in Montreal, and many of those who died were over the age of 65. Temperatures did finally drop some today, but Quebec's health ministry has warned the danger is not over yet. Extreme heat can affect the human body for up to 48 hours, even after temperatures go back to normal.
I just spoke with the anthropologist just now, who confirms that there were remains. We continue digging in the same general area, but we've got a long ways to go yet.
And the lead detective in the Bruce MacArthur case confirming that after a second day of searching, they found more human remains near a Toronto property. MacArthur faces first-degree murder charges in the deaths of 8 men, and tests are underway to determine if any of the new remains found belong to them.
Ahead tonight on The National, as Donald Trump considers his next trade move, we'll talk to Canadian car dealers caught in the crosshairs.
Also, meet the women hoping to rebrand legalized marijuana, making it fashionable in more ways than one.
And later, after 80 years together, one couple's secret to a long life and a healthy marriage.
When it was their 75th wedding anniversary, I asked her, how did you do this for so long? And she told me, there were years when I couldn't even look at his ugly face.
Canadians have flown twice in space, but always as passenger scientists, payload specialists they call them. Now, for the first time, non-Americans will be trained to operate the shuttle itself. This class of mission specialist trainees includes 2 Europeans, 1 Japanese, and 2 Canadians.
Hi, my name is Chris Hadfield. I'm Canadian. I'm from Milton, Ontario, Canada.
A mission specialist is, we train them to be more broad-based so they can cover a variety of areas on a variety of missions, and they are full-time astronauts, so we can use them on various missions.
For the first time, Canadians will be allowed to operate the Canadarm. They, too, will launch, capture, and repair satellites.
You become more of a crew member than you were before. So it's an increase in stature here, which is only good for Canada. It's a very good thing.
He and Garneau will spend hundreds of training hours here in a swimming pool which contains a mock-up of the orbiter's payload bay. One of the first things they'll do is learn how to manually close the doors if the automatic system fails.
Everybody knows that heat plus meat equals barbecue, and if you can't get the doors closed, you don't come home.
They train here because it's the closest you can get on Earth to a weightless environment, an environment Canada's first astronaut cannot wait to experience again.
It's fantastic news for me. I really had not, in my wildest dreams, thought that I'd have a second chance. And there's so many things that I've thought about since my first mission that I forgot to do, forgot to look at, forgot to check out.
The training is so demanding that NASA says typically it's 3 to 4 years before a mission specialist is ready to fly. That would mean Garneau and Hatfield might get a flight around 1996, just about the time that NASA is getting ready to launch the pieces of space station. Eve Savory, CBC News at the Johnson Space Center, Houston.
Opening salvos from the U.S. and China in what promises to be a costly trade war. The U.S. throwing down $34 billion in tariffs on Chinese goods, prompting China to unleash stiff levies of its own. As Lindsay Duncombe tells us, as bad as that is, it's what comes next that has economists really worried. Potentially more tariffs and way more trouble.
Idyllic Iowa hardly looks like a battleground, but soybeans are a trade target in a war that is officially underway. In Iowa alone, farmers expect to lose more than $600 million.
We just hate to see that be used as a weapon in a trade war.
Lobstermen brace for losses.
We're going to just hope that we can find another market to absorb the loss that we have in China.
Cattle producers, too, are worried.
Anytime there's a trade war, it seems like agriculture takes the short end of the stick. And I'm sure that's going to show up sooner or later.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry today called its retaliation justified and necessary. State media referred to Americans as a gang of hoodlums. While prices for Chinese consumers will go up, experts warn this is a battle the country is prepared for.
There's a great sentiment of national pride in China right now that they're not going to be pushed around by the United States or any other country.
Our economic policy. Given that the American president seems equally unlikely to back away, the big concern is prolonged escalation.
The thing we worry most about is the retaliation, round after round of trade war, where that $34 billion morphs into $100 or $200 billion.
The U.S. targeted China for long-standing and legitimate grievances, dumping steel and stealing trade secrets.
What makes this situation so volatile is that this trade action is happening at the same time as the White House is targeting traditional allies, including Canada and Europe. A trade war gone global. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Now, speaking of us, Donald Trump has said he also wants to slap a 25% tariff on vehicles made in Canada. So, are you ready to pay thousands more dollars for a car? Canadian auto dealers are warning the result would be a big jump in prices and tens of thousands of lost jobs, too. In their words, catastrophic. CBC's Katie Simpson has that angle.
On the inside, you've got all-weather slush mats.
Life on the showroom floor could become very difficult if the U.S. imposes tariffs on vehicles and auto parts. But Sean Gibson is facing that challenge with a positive attitude.
In the short term, there definitely would be a decline in sales. I think we'd have to get creative with how we serve our customers and offering the right value.
Creativity may be needed for the industry to survive what could be a major blow. A report released today by the Canadian Automobile Dealers Association predicts 100,000 job losses in Canada if new tariffs are imposed on autos. At the same time, prices would also spike by up to $9,000 per vehicle.
The impact would be enormous on the manufacturing side, on the retailing side, and then all the way on down through the economy.
The Trump administration will decide in the next few months whether it will impose a 25% tariff on imported vehicles as a way, it says, to protect American national security by beefing up its own auto industry. The Prime Minister and business leaders are demanding Donald Trump scrap the idea, arguing it could kill more American jobs than it would create.
It would do so much damage to be quite frank, a number of states where the president's popularity is very much in play.
Gibson says the uncertainty has not led to any changes in customer behavior. If it does, he's prepared to adapt.
Auto dealers have dealt with bankruptcies from manufacturers, from surging fuel prices, we find a way around it. And I think anyone in this business knows that we're survivors.
That positive attitude may be tested if the industry is forced to go into survival mode. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
And up next on The National, British beer lovers have been warned. We'll tell you about the shortage in the UK that could put pints, meats, and crumpets in short supply.
Oh, not crumpets. And a look at how Canadians are giving marijuana a serious makeover.
So yeah, it's our road trip kit. So it's everything for on the go. So if I was going out to the club at night, I might put my phone in there, but it also fits most vaporizers in the pocket up there.
Oh, okay.
And then I just
I was dancing since I was little, since I could walk, from what I'm told. I remember being about 7 or 8 years old and my father asking me what dance I'd like to do as we were at a powwow. And I remember seeing a jingle dress dancer and being like, I want to do that. So my dad, my father went out and got all the accessories and a dress made for me, and by the next year I was dancing. There's quite a bit of responsibility. It's a prayer dance, so a lot of people will request us to dance for loved or sick ones close to them, or people that have passed on in the spirit world. So it was a great responsibility. I believe at the time when I decided, I didn't realize that, but growing up, I took a lot of pride in it. For me, it feels like I'm in my element. I love that she incorporated these the Mi'kmaq designs. You're in your best form of yourself, and you just have this whole new confidence just by being able to put on things that you've either created or had someone create for you, or the stories behind everything. So when you're all geared up, you just are filled with so much pride. And for me, I go out there and I represent my people, my nation. I represent myself. I represent my family. So it's really rewarding.
I think I started dancing because when I go to powwows, I just see all the amazing dance styles, and it's really stood out to me for a fancy show. Yeah. Because it's so beautiful, and I think that's why I got started. The closest thing that I can compare it to is maybe the movement of a butterfly's wings when they're flying around. When I'm dancing, I pray a lot. I used to pray a lot when I was littler. It helps me keep on going. If it's a really long song or a crow hop or something, those kind of songs. It's really hard to keep going, but when I pray, it makes it a lot better. Sometimes if I go to a powwow far away where nobody else is that I know, around here we have a powwow family, but if I go somewhere else, there's not as much people I know, I get nervous. But then I start dancing and it's I'm all right.
When you design or when you want a regalia or you envision that, it comes from, I guess, an interpretation of yourself and the things that you like, and I guess the colors you enjoy and the styles. This dress is solely based around missing and murdered Indigenous women. Everything from the bias cuts, the bias tapes, to the cuts, to the zipper is all completely red to represent that. Typically on all my jingle dresses, I like to take that time of attaching cones to set intentions and prayers. I think the point of it all is feeling emotion, feeling happiness, and it's even a great responsibility to feel sorrow and pain and sadness. I think that jingle dress dancers, they like to feel, they need to feel in order to be able to, send out these prayers and positive vibes.
I hold they smoke. That's what it is.
Got the Breakfast Club on the National. Opinions on pot have changed a lot since the Breakfast Club came out in 1985. And your average user, they're not just the stereotype of long-haired hippies and tie-dyed shirts. With pot legalization upon us, the marijuana industry is expected to bring in billions to the Canadian economy. And with that, a growing number of women entrepreneurs are rushing to get on board. As Tashana Reed found, they're also bringing a message of female empowerment and a new take for your cannabis.
The precision, the clean lines, and luxurious leather. This is the beginning of something beautiful. The finished product, a leather clutch. Not for your phone or makeup, but for cannabis. That's right, cannabis.
So yeah, it's our road trip kit. So it's everything for on the go. So if I was going out to the club at night, I might put my phone in there, but it also fits most vaporizers in the pocket up there.
Oh, okay.
It's where fashion meets function. Pockets for vaporizers and weed grinders. Emma Barron is the co-founder of Milkweed, a modern cannabis accessories brand. Barron got the idea after working with medicinal marijuana patients.
Part of the inspiration for Milkweed for me was seeing 70, 80-year-olds, like your grandma, coming into the clinic, and the cannabis is working for them, but the only products they can find are covered in weed leaves. And this patient doesn't even want to use the cannabis. They're so ashamed of the accoutrements that go with it.
Milkweed collaborates with Canadian designers, from potters to leather crafters, like here at Hyde in Toronto.
Here we used essential oils that share the same terpenes as cannabis. So you're kind of blending in with the smell of cannabis and freshening it rather than trying to cover it up.
Trying to mask it.
So this one's lavender, orange, and frankincense.
The retailer's strategy? To help erase the stigma around marijuana use, one elegant design or scent at a time.
It's bringing it out of the closet, out from under the bed, and onto the coffee table and feeling good about it.
Marijuana used to be an underground market, but today, pot is all about showing off. There's Instagram pages that look like high fashion ads. Mainstream lifestyle magazines are tracking pot trends. Everything from printed rolling papers to gold packing tools and even diamond-encrusted vape pens. Make no mistake, women are putting their mark on cannabis couture. At the Okana Biz Industry Conference in Toronto this summer, it's mostly men. But women are bursting onto the scene.
We want to bring our energy and our design eye to this and see it in a very different way. I mean, that's a huge opportunity.
April Pride is the founder of Vanderpop, a cannabis lifestyle brand for women launched in Seattle 2 years ago. Pride brought her experience not only as a designer, but as a mother to the table.
I do think that design can change people's minds. And so creating a product that's beautiful and functional, keeping in mind that a woman perhaps is a mom, right? And so odor is a huge deal to her.
Their $370 clutch features a 3-digit lock to keep pot out of kids' hands and ultraviolet stash jars made to keep smells contained. Now, a big part of her business is mentoring other women.
I think it's incredibly exciting to think about this being the first billion-dollar industry that women really could be at the forefront of.
Rachel Kollick is a marketer and founder of Eves of Eden. Her brand is 100% female-owned and operated.
If I can make it look just like every other beautiful fashion blog you like as you're scrolling through your phone, then it starts to take cannabis out of that dark corner.
A rebranding of marijuana is in full swing. Ask any marketer, and they'll say that's because the purchasing power lies with women.
Women are starting to step to the forefront as it's becoming legal and a business opportunity, are really coming out of the closet and saying, yes, I have used cannabis, I do use cannabis, this is what it does for me, and I want to be a part of what's happening.
Not only are women part of it, they're helping lead the way. Tashana Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
And from one popular vice to another, British beer drinkers could be facing a crisis at the bar at the worst possible time. The World Cup and a nice cold pint tend to go hand in hand. But thanks to a severe CO2 shortage, English football fans might soon be out of luck. Our Thomas Daigle explains.
In the business of brews, pressure matters, the kind that comes from a tank.
We're going to start carbonating this in about 20 minutes. So this is the bubbles. It's what makes the beer nice and fizzy.
Head brewer Jago Wise is adding carbon dioxide, used here at Wild Card Brewery in more ways than one, even for cleaning those big vats.
I know that we use it massively, and I think the whole food sector is, I wouldn't say in trouble, but certainly worried.
Britain's CO2 shortage means thousands of liters of beer brewed here can't be bottled. Across town under the King and Queen pub, manager CJ Lewis is lucky enough to have gas to spare. He planned in advance, knowing these days his bar would be especially packed.
If anything does happen, we know what we can do. I mean, things like cask beer, you end up selling more of that because you use less CO2 with that.
It's high season for the fizzy suds. The sun is out and England is still in. The World Cup, that is.
Now, the CO2 shortage isn't just causing problems for beer drinkers. The gas is also used for packaging some meats. It's also spelled trouble for that old British favorite, the crumpet.
Britain's crumpet giant, Warburton's, cut production at 3 out of 4 plants because they too need carbon dioxide.
Here we fill every packet with CO2. That helps us maintain the freshness and quality of our products over the shelf life.
The reason for the shortage? Closures at several CO2 plants for maintenance. Some are getting back up and running, but it could be another couple weeks before supply is fully restored. At the brewery, they're finding solutions that require less CO2, like filling those kegs rather than bottles. Some taps may run dry, but no crisis will keep Brits from their beer. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, London.
Now I'm hungry and thirsty. Next on The National, a portrait of a long-lasting marriage, 80 years to be exact, and their secrets to a long life.
He is very regimented. He gets up at 7:30. He has to have fruit at 11 o'clock after breakfast because for him digestion is very important.
For this entire century, female players have struggled for acceptance, for funding, for recognition, for ice time. Team Canada represents the culmination of that struggle. But the stakes for these women are very high. Not only are they expected to bring back gold, but the whole future of women's hockey may depend on their success.
It's gonna be history. It's history.
For St. Louis, it's history. For others, it's a future. The enrollment of girls into hockey has grown exponentially in recent years. Now, with an Olympic team, the Canadian Hockey Association expects 100,000 Canadian girls will soon be playing. These girls memorize the names of the women's Team Canada. The Olympic players are their heroes.
We played against boys, and it wasn't all that challenging. It wasn't challenging.
How come it wasn't challenging playing against the boys?
It was just too easy for them.
Taryn, Brenna, and Marika play for an all-girls hockey team. Until recently, they had to play with boys. Now they play against them.
When you're a girl on a boys' team, they kind of tease you and don't think you're good enough, so they don't pass to you, and they don't really believe you're a part of the team.
When you're on a girls' team, we're all the same, and there's no better people and stuff like that.
Do boys play differently then?
Yeah, they're a lot rougher than us.
So how can you beat them then?
Well, our coach tells us to be aggressive. Just because they're bigger and tougher than us, it doesn't mean we can't skate as well as them.
Come on, girls! Power! Get down in your skates! Let's see those sticks down. Down and up, down and up. That's it.
The Ridgewood Red Bats all-girls team is a breakthrough in Calgary hockey. Their coach, Lynn Leal, is trying to give them what she never had.
Good shot, Brittany. Let it go, Tara. Well done.
If you ask any one of the girls that I coach, what do you want to be when you grow up? And if they say a hockey player,
they really truly can be a hockey player. When I was 9 years old, it was a dream. People would ask me, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I said, I am be a hockey player. But that was a fantasy. Now it's a dream that they can live, they can see it through. And that is just, for me, personally, it means so much just to see these girls involved in a game that they can actually take somewhere if they want to.
How big is this for women's hockey, the Olympic Games?
It's huge. I think it's just going to build from here now that we're together.
I think the game can be taken seriously now. And everything.
So what usually follows success? Money, of course. The world of commerce has already figured out these women are highly marketable. Esso, Air Canada, the Royal Bank. Corporations know these fresh faces will bring a whole new market to hockey.
Women's sports, and in Canada's case, women's hockey is sort of a sleeping giant. And advertisers are waking up quicker than, say, the media or even some of the national sports organizations. The idea behind this is to bring players into your living room. I mean,
Elizabeth A2 is creating the first magazine in the world dedicated to female hockey.
Work.
Welcome back. Tonight on The National, the U.S. government admits it's going to have a hard time meeting a court-imposed deadline to reunite migrant families separated at the border. And one of the reasons, it doesn't necessarily know where all the parents are. A federal judge gave the government until the end of July to reunite families, even less time for children under 5. And the judge has already ruled against issuing a blanket extension to the deadline.
On the issue of asylum seekers, thank you for your leadership, John. I know this has been a challenge, and you have stepped up.
The Prime Minister telling Toronto's mayor today that Ottawa will help the city cope with the influx of asylum seekers, but stopped short of offering new money. That's something Mayor John Tory has repeatedly asked for to help manage the situation. And Ontario's new premier has made his position on all this quite clear. He puts the blame squarely on the federal government for the surge in asylum seekers, and he insists Ottawa should foot the bill. In Japan tonight, hundreds of thousands of people are out of their homes after torrential rain triggered floods and landslides. At least 4 people are reported dead. The rainfall is being described by Japanese officials as historic, and it's expected to affect large parts of the country right through this weekend.
No pipe, no way, no pipe.
And just some of the hundreds of people who descended on the seaside town of Pictou, Nova Scotia today. They were protesting against a pulp mill's plans to dump treated waste into the Northumberland Strait. Those against the plan say it could harm the area's fishing and tourism industries. The company, Northern Pulp, disputes that, but there are calls for a federal environmental assessment.
Here's something to brighten up your summer Friday nights. We are showcasing some of the most popular stories commissioned by our colleagues at CBC Short Docs. And tonight, we highlight a couple married for 80 years. That's right, 80. The filmmaker is their granddaughter, Samira Moyedin, and she was inspired to capture her grandmother's 100th birthday and to examine what this enduring couple means to her family. Here is 100 and counting secrets to a long life.
زیپتون وازه بابا. زیپتون وازه.
خب بله.
عیبی نداره.
نه زیرش لباس دیگر.
My grandfather is Mohammed Moyedin, and he's 109. My grandmother's name is Ashraf Hashemi Nejat Moyedin. She just turned 100 years old. They've been married about 80 years now. Who's even with anybody for 80 years anymore? 8 kids, 20 grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren. They're both real characters. When it was their 75th wedding anniversary, I asked her, how did you do this for so long? And she told me, there were years when I couldn't even look at his ugly face.
غذا چیه؟
بزن ما بفهمیم چیکار میکنیم.
این که غذا نداره. مواد غذایی نداره.
They've been together 80 years. They must know something.
اگر درآمد کافی داره زن بگیره ازدواج بکنه.
نه درآمد. درآمد دلیل زندگی نیست. اخلاق دلیل زندگی.
My grandmother, I really have a lot of respect for her. Tenacity and resolve to keep something together despite, you know, something inside you saying, ugh, he's so annoying. Those are my grandparents. They have so much to teach. He was a general in the army, my grandfather, and so he would get us up at 6:30 in the morning and be like, and then we'd sit down at the exact same time and have breakfast, and he would tell us, chew your food. Does your stomach have teeth?
که هر غذایی که میخوره شما باید تو دهن مایع بشه بره توی معده که معده دندون دیگه چیزی نداره.
He is very regimented. He gets up at 7:30. He has to have fruit at 11 o'clock after breakfast because for him digestion is very important.
میوه نخوردی.
مستقیم بر خودت تهیه نکن.
She puts up with a lot, and she does it with a smile.
مال شما چیه مال من انگوره.
یه دونه گوجه سیاه نرسیده سفت نمیشه باید.
Everything revolves around him. The day revolves around his time and his needs. In my teens, my politics, he was somebody that I could not even look at because he was homophobic, he was sexist, he was racist, and this was just... But I got to a place in my own thinking where I thought, what expectations do I have of this person who grew up in a time and place like Iran in 1906? And I feel unwittingly that I have become him in a lot of ways. Even though I like to think my politics are very lofty.
What kind?
I find that I can be a bit of a hard ass. And I took that from him.
بخشنده و مهربانی تو را میپرستم پروردگارا میدانم که پرستش مرا تو خدایی جز تو خدایی نیست.
He is physically much better shape than she is. I think he's kept young because she has taken most of the burden. And one time he was making fun of her, saying, oh, look at you, you're not even 100 yet, you can't walk like me, look how fast I walk, and I'm almost 10 years older. And she looked at him, you know, just kind of glanced over at him and said, you know, I had 8 kids. 8 kids passed through me.
زیاد کاری به من نداشتم. افسر ارتش بود میاد اداره صبح میرفت عصر میامد نبود با من ولی بیشتر بچه ها با من بودن. عشق من بیشتر طرف بچه ها رفت.
ببین اگه میتونی خوبه همیشه اون کارو بکن. دست ها رو هر دو رو زانو بزن. یا 2 رکعت نماز میخونم که میدونید نماز چجوریه. بلند میشن میشینن بلند میشن راز میشن. این ورزش بسیار عالیه.
They stay young because they're constantly around very young people. Like my little cousins are always twirling around them and they're 10 and 11.
I brag to my friends. I have a 110-year-old great-grandfather, and they're like, what? Well, yeah, prove it. And then I show them the picture, and then they're like...
They're not hanging out with people their age, ever. There's something to be said about being in your own space and being around people who love you. Love keeps you young. Our entire family is deathly afraid of losing my grandparents. Losing them means losing almost the nucleus of what keeps us together. Grandma's fallen a couple times, and she's getting very weak. My uncle and father passed away, both within 3 months of each other, so I can't blame her for sort of wanting to give up. You're not supposed to bury your children. He used to walk very upright, and now it's sort of, you're seeing him diminishing physically, which is, it's difficult to see because although he is 109, we always see him as, you know, the general.
با آب و هوای اونجا رشد کردیم تا سن 70-80 سالگی. حالا 30-40 ساله اومدیم اینجا. اینجا اغلب خانم همش مریضه. سعی هم داریم که زودتر بریم از اینجا.
They do want to go back to Iran. There is always the hope that we are going to go back, that everything is going to pan out, that everything's going to be okay once again, and that we can all meet again, you know, where we came from.
روز میان خونه ما خدا منو قبلا میرن دم در میزنم خودش میاد در چه میکشن بگیرن سر برمیدن تیم سارا رو میکشتن منو خدا حفظ کرد. اون روز من به اتفاقی منزل پسر دامادم مهمان بودم با خانم.
Although you know in your mind that, you know, they will be going, you almost want them to live forever because it also means that you might live forever. I don't know what will become of us once they're gone. We talk about what is keeping them going, and it really is love. Love is what is keeping them alive. So I feel like as long as we're giving them that, maybe they will live forever. The birthday song in Persian says, happy birthday, we hope you live to be 100. When they both turned 100, we thought to ourselves, you know, we're gonna have to maybe change the lyrics of this song. I mean, he's turning 110. I've become quite aware of how lucky I am. The amount of people that I meet that don't even know their grandparents, and mine are still around way past 100. I really wanted to document their lives and tell their story for who they are and what they've given to me and to all of us.
Wow.
We should tell you, Now, we should tell you that since the documentary was made, the filmmaker's grandmother has passed away. So that's the sad part. But their story has clearly resonated with a lot of people. That got more than 25 million views on Facebook alone. And you can watch it again, and you can share it, and you should. Head over to cbc.ca/shortdocs. I mean, I was having sort of a not great day, I'll be honest. And watching that, it just gave you some perspective and lifted me up a little.
Well, and insightful too, right? I mean, the secret to long, I think he had the right idea off the top that, you know, even when you're on camera, just kind of lean back and relax and just take life at your own speed, right? That's great.
Also, don't let your husband boss you. That was another lesson I had there.
I suppose. Lots more ahead tonight on The National. The Moment is next, but first, they do call it the greatest outdoor show on Earth, and today was day one. The Calgary Stampede officially kicked off this morning with its 106th annual parade. About 150,000 people lined the route through downtown, and they had a lot to take in. Recognize this guy? Two-time Olympic bronze medalist Mark McMorris was this year's parade marshal.
How is it riding Texas compared to a snowboard?
It's a little slower, but more powerful.
You say yeah, you say who?
And there's Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi looking pretty comfortable on Garfield the horse. Also, Alberta Premier Rachel Notley.
You have a great stampede.
All in all, there were about 750 horses, 32 floats, 12 marching bands, and thousands of people taking part.
federal election night. This is Studio 7 in Toronto, and watching are observers from the major television networks, because for the first time anywhere in the world, the TV viewer sitting at home will be the first person to know the results of the voting. Until now, when the voting results came in, they were compiled by the computer and the results passed on to an operator who turned dials or wrote figures on a board. The TV cameras had to roam from one results board to another. But here there is only one results board. As fast as the computer compiles the results, they are shown on this screen automatically, always changing to keep pace with the latest figures. This machine, DivCon, developed by RCA Victor engineers in Montreal, takes the results straight from the memory of the computer and shows the figures electronically on a television screen. There isn't a fraction of a second lost. It is the first instantaneous election coverage on television. Another first. The CBC and its affiliated stations gather their own results from every riding in Canada with the speed needed by radio and television. 18 teletype circuits are added to the normal 3 circuits used for transmitting election results, guaranteeing that the CBC English and French networks are first with the results. The anchormen at Election Central are Knowlton Nash and the Dean of Broadcasters on Parliament Hill, Norman DePoe. To back up their reports and comments, CBC Television can switch in a second for live reports from Vancouver, Ottawa, Red Deer, Rouen, or St. John's. Every 20 minutes, each television station along the network takes 10 minutes to report in detail on the election results for its own area.
No, he's getting so many call results, it's not even dismissed. That's Larry.
Results from the polls are gathered at the local stations and sent by teletype to Election Central. Local experts report the results, comment on election trends, and interview the candidates.
Well, it has been an exciting and unpredictable World Cup this year, and soccer fans around the world are gearing up for the last round of the quarterfinals tomorrow. But for one young fan, the celebration has already begun, and his story is our moment of the day.
Is that Ben Williams, our penalty taker? Whoop, whoop!
Meet Ben Williams, a 5-year-old brain cancer patient from Birmingham in England, who also happens to be a big soccer fan. You can guess which team he's cheering for at the World Cup. So when he completed his radiotherapy treatment this week, staff at the hospital thought, what better way to celebrate? Lots of flags, lots of cheering, and a special surprise.
Can you do it? Can you do it? What is that?
That's the World Cup.
His very own World Cup trophy, plus a certificate acknowledging how brave he had been. And the world's been cheering him on. The video posted on Twitter has since been viewed more than 1 million times.
And, you know, before he got that treatment, he wasn't able to talk and he wasn't able to walk. So clearly he's feeling a little bit better at any rate.
Yeah, and so now he has that World Cup, and I suppose all that's left is for his country to take home the real deal. Quarterfinals wraps tomorrow. England plays Sweden. That's tomorrow morning Canadian time. So, you know, folks can figure out what time that is. But, yeah, I guess that would just cap it all off for him, huh?
I think that would make him very happy indeed.
That's the National for this July 6th. Happy Friday, and good night.
Good night.